But we are walking a different path where it's
Yeah.
like we didn't have anybody doing this for us. No one was modeling how to be
Really not.
a better
Yeah.
individual. You have your own soul. You have your own you're your own entity. And one day you're gonna walk out of this house. And what I really want is for you to be able to interact with your emotions as a human being, right? Like you said, we have ups, we have downs. I'm learning at 40 that my ups and downs, I'm still learning how to ride those waves, right?
Yeah. I like that you talked about surfing those waves, and I want to like concretize this metaphor and say I'm trying to give them a surfboard
Ooh, oh,
because they're going to get drowned in these waves unless they have a board and they know how to ride. I need to teach you. Don't ignore the waves, they're there, but I want you to be able to stay on top of them and ride them. Ride the energy when you want to. Say, nope, that wave's too big. I'm going to duck under. I'm going to let it pass, and be able to get out beyond the breakers sometimes and look back and say, yeah, they're crashing on the shore, but deeper in, I am well and peaceful. And to inhabit that space when you just don't feel like surfing. I would love it if my kids had that ability.
it's like, I don't know if it's the mindfulness where you recognize that this isn't who I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't how I want to be. But I had the same thing, man. That toxic masculinity and going into that anger and trying to make that thing just, I'm going to control the situation.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work, man. Not for me.
Yeah.
And maybe it
Mm-hmm.
works for somebody.
No, it certainly doesn't seem to work for me, and it's funny. Like my deepest experience of this, my wife is a midwife, and so she's at births all the time. I'm not there with her, but I was at the birth of my two kids, which happened separately. So I had like a first run, didn't go well, and then I had like a second run to like try to do this better, try to be there better because the experience is amazing, and I wanted to like really take it in. Whereas in the first one, like it's a whole long story. Births are always long stories, but this thing that I noticed in the second one, Bree wanted to have a lot of people there, all women except for me. And I was running around trying to fix the problem of having a baby. I was like, do you need some ginger ale? Should I massage your back this way? What about this? Is the water too hot? Like, and I was getting exhausted because I was trying to like fix the external circumstances.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the women are just sitting there patiently. Like they're listening to the music. They're not really talking. They're quiet. And I just feel this quiet faith emanating from them of this baby is going to come. And I'm just going to be here like truly. And these are not people necessarily who have meditation practices, but they're going to hold the space. And it was this container, and I was like this little rubber ball somebody threw, and they're bouncing around, trying to be like, this container though, and like Brie didn't need any of that. And I got exhausted again. I was like so exhausted in the first one. It was stupid. I was not pushing a baby out of my body, and I was like dead.
But it feels like it.
Yeah, because I'm trying to fix something I don't have control over.
Yeah.
And parenting early years were a lot like that for me. I was trying to fix something I didn't have control over, like whether my kids are going to sleep or not, like whether they're going to eat, whether they're going to get sick. Like actually, you can't make any of these things happen. You can create the conditions in which they may happen, and then you have to let go.
You can make yourself sick.
Yeah, and I think that's a really hard lesson for people who like identify with the male energy. Like we just want to fix and make things happen, and it's hard to experience that things are out of your control and to accept that.
So when was the time that you really saw that they were more than just something to keep alive?
My kids?
Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, you look at this little thing that's completely dependent on you, and you know that like there's a birth of consciousness in there, and you're wondering like, what is its actual experience of this time? But I mean, the thing that came up is just my memory of my son's first word. Like we were on vacation, and I was dropping this ball. I would drop a ball and say, "Uh-oh," and he'd laugh. And then I'd get the ball and give it to him, and he would drop the ball. That was the game. He'd drop it, I'd pick it up for hours, right? Like this is what you do when your kid is 11 months old. And I was doing it, and I was making the sound, and he dropped it. I went for it, and he said, "Uh-oh." And I was like, "What?" And I looked at him, and I dropped it again. He said, "Uh-oh." oh. And I was like, oh my God, you're saying uh-oh. Like, it's not even really a word, but that is your first word. And like, what was so powerful about it was that like, this is your brain communicating a thing to me. The cry is so indistinct and non-specific, something's wrong. And then you like come up with theories forever about what it is. But he was very specifically saying, it's not good when that ball falls down, you know?
So beautiful.
And that moment of like my mind connecting to his, it turns out that my son is quite the intellectual and he's only in brain space and really wants to connect brains all the time. And like right now it's theorizing about the family relations of people in Super Mario World. It's like, do you think that Lenny is actually like Koopa's older brother? Because when you battle him, the fireballs go this way. I'm like, I don't think anyone has thought about it as deeply as you have. But like my first little taste of that was the uh-oh. And yeah, so for me, that was the time. And I'm a words person anyway. So like the words really hit me. But that first word was like, you are intentionally telling me a specific thing instead of generally saying this sucks or like laughing or sleeping or burping or whatever. Like I don't get your mind so much through that. I just know it's there. But the word, the first word. Yeah.
It changes things because it's just like whenever they start walking or whatever that milestone is where they go from, just like you said, I'm laying on the couch and I need something from you. Please give it to me.
And you're like, what is that thing?
Yeah, it is like a
You
little
go
bit
crazy
like
trying to find the thing.
you're like, yeah. And then eventually they're able to say something, and then the next stage is all they know is the word no. No.
Yeah, powerful, good word. You know, you can run through options like, is it milk? Is it body? Do you have a dirty diaper? No, 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 no.
It's always no.
Yeah, no, you know, like, man, Noah's come back with my 7-year-old because maybe again, going back to this male energy, he wants to have control. And when I say it's time for us to do this, it's just a no. And it isn't even about doing this. Like, we're going to go meet our friends. He loves playing with these friends. He'll have a great time. But as soon as I say we're going to go see them, he is dead set against it. If I say, would you rather go hang with them at the park or would you rather meet them for ice cream? I win either way because we're still going to see our friends, but he gets this choice. And so he's okay with it. He's like, I'd rather go to the park. And then everything's fine.
Yeah.
He just needed to have some agency. He just needed to have a choice.
That's the thing about our kids, right? They need that choice.
Yeah, they do.
And we don't give it to them
And
as often as they need it.
Yeah, when they don't get it, it's just going to be a no. Even when it's something they want, that's the thing that blows my mind. It's like, I'm doing this for you, and you're saying no, but I have to do it in a skillful way.
Yeah.
And that choice, it's a little bit tricksy, but like give them an option so they feel that they have choice. And either one is a consequence that I'm okay with. You know, like that goes back to that quick decisiveness and thinking through like what you can actually do. But it's kind of a trick. It's like, I'm going to give you 2 choices and I like both of them. So pick whatever you want.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's just skillful parenting.
So what's a time in parenting that you were brought to your knees?
Interesting. So many of those early experiences of helplessness were really hard because I don't think as an adult, I had just never experienced circumstances that I couldn't change or couldn't fix as deeply as I couldn't change or fix like so many things, especially when the kids were really young and my wife's recovering from delivery and all of these things. And there's been a lot of hard times. It was the end of this fruit season. You know, I work for 3.5 months on the road. I see my family very little. Like I see them for 3 days every month or so.
Oh, wow.
And I'm working like 90-hour weeks otherwise. And just like working my tail off and missing them, but also doing this because this is how I make money and my family needs it. So it feels like service to them, but I don't see them much. And at the end of that, we had this plan that we're all going to meet. Bree was in North Carolina with her mom. South Carolina has these beautiful beaches. We rented a beach house. I'm going to get done with work. I'm going to fly to South Carolina. We're going to be on the beach for 2 weeks. And the end of that fruit season, I go hang out with my brother. He's kind of got a sniffle. I was like, oh, what's up? He's like, I don't know. We had a cold pasture. I'm like, okay. Like I was done selling fruit. I was just cleaning up the trucks, going to put them away, get on a plane. And the next day I did not feel good. And I was almost like, wow, I can't like even clean and organize this stuff because I'm feeling terrible. And the next day I was like, I can't do anything. And he's like, yeah, I think it might have been COVID. And it was back when like COVID was gnarly and intense. It was the first time I'd really gotten it. And it just hit me. And I was super, super sick for like 10 days. And I was so ready to see my family. And so I go home to our house because I have been on the road, so I want to be at our house, but they're not there. And I go back to this empty house and I feel awful. And they're on the beach, like being there waiting for me. And I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to get better. And I feel like total trash. And all I want to do is be with my family. And it was really interesting. That was the moment that there was a part of me, the writer brain was like, "Ooh, we got 10 days to just write all our books, baby." Because I don't get any time to write during the summer because I'm working those 90-hour weeks. And so I was like, wow, I can just dive deep into my book. So I started diving and my heart wasn't in it. Like, this is not what I wanted. I felt like of the two things that I'd neglected during my money making season, the one that I really needed to get back to was my family. And it just made me realize that if anything ever came between me and being able to be with my kids, I would be devastated. Like, just COVID for 10 days, like, I didn't care that I felt awful. What I cared about was that I have been away from them for so long and we have this intentional time and place and they're there and I can't be there. It was heartbreaking. And I didn't want to do anything other than just like speed through the days. Like, can I speed these days up to go against everything that we said? It's like, can I just make these days go faster?
Those are the days that are 0.75.
I know. And I just want to go on 2X and barely understand what's being said. Like, yep. Yeah.
Those are the best. That the 2X work because you're doing so much fun stuff, and it's usually with family. And it's crazy how as these children grow, the definition of being a parent changes. So you know how I said that we all have the friend that we called. One of my friends, he called the other day, or he texted, and he was like, "My kid just said she's 15, 16, was like." Sent a text saying, "I'm so thankful for you as parents because you give me options and you show me love and you don't just yell at me." And there's a whole text.
Wow.
And I like immediately called him. Like, he
Yeah.
sent me the message. I called him.
Like, congratulations, you won.
Yeah,
Like, you did everything right.
Surprise. Yeah. And
Yeah.
he's almost in tears, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't know as a parent. We put so much time and attention and we make the wrong decisions, even though we think we're making the right decisions. And our kids, they don't know any better. They don't know that we don't know any better.
That's the only parenting they've ever gotten.
That's it. So if you were to leave a message today for your kids, right? Where one day they like ran across this podcast and they were like, "Oh, I didn't know Dad was on a podcast, X amount of years ago." Is there a piece of advice, a piece of knowledge, wisdom a nugget that you would like to leave for them as they meet themselves on the journey?
Yeah, that's so interesting. I mean, my first reflex is just to make sure that they know that I love them because my dad did not do a good job of that. And that is like the thing I knew before the kids even came out of my wife that I wanted to make sure they knew every day. I was talking with my daughter yesterday and she's like, "It's so annoying how often you tell me this." I'm like, "Great. I want it to be super annoying." Yeah. And did you know how much I love you? And I ask her again just to be extra annoying. But I think that like, hoping that they have gotten that message because it's gotten to the annoying stage. So hopefully it's there and I'll keep doing that. I think, if they came back to this as older people, the thing I want them to most have is not control of their emotions, but I want them to have clarity or grace with those emotions where they let them be. You don't repress them, but they also don't push you around. And you understand it's okay to just have this human experience of being sad or being furious or even being depressed. Like, these are things that happen. And to not get carried away by that, to have that inner nugget of what my meditation tradition would call impermanence, is that like, this is true of emotions. I'm so afraid of the teenage years because your emotions are so strong and they feel like they'll be there forever. Like if you break up with your girlfriend, like, I'm destroyed and it's time to die.
It's never gonna work. This is the end of the life.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like, yeah, this thing is like done forever. And then as a grown up, you can see the next day they try again and it worked. And you're like, see, but they don't see. Like, at least at 7 and 5, my kids are not connecting those dots. And I want them to connect those dots and see that no matter how it feels, it isn't forever. And it's important to know where you're at emotionally, but to be able to act rather than react when those emotions come up strongly. Like they have to have their place, and it's telling you something important about your experience in this world. But being pushed around by them can lead us just into creating more suffering, into making choices that don't serve us long term. This is the deepest skill I want them to have, is the skill of understanding and be able to be with their emotions without being led by them.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
this is new terrain as parents, not just you and I, but just parents generally, the parents that we interact with at our school and things like that, is a lot of times in the 80s and 90s, we didn't have our parents didn't have the space, man, in my mind, right? They didn't have the space to look at those things. And then even like, so I grew up in the church, and if you look at the Bible's like, you better spank those kids or else,
Yeah.
you're
Spare the rod,
gonna,
spoil the child.
yeah. I've actually heard it. I don't remember the exact terminology, but they put the comma in a different place,
Oh, interesting.
right? And it was like, uh, spare the rod, spoil the child, or like,
Interesting.
it's just like a different
Yeah.
question, right?
Uh-huh.
Where it was like, sparing the rod is what you're supposed to do. Like you're not supposed to actually spank them.
Man, that's the trouble with words, to invoke the Bible and also our discussion about reading the things we've already written. And, the things that I find you run into this podcast, you're like talking about a deep topic, and you're like, oh, these are just words. They're just painting a picture. Like they can go so many ways. And without, like, if we're here together, like we can re-explain. I can see that you're not getting or took it the wrong way. But when it's written down, like people, it's just like a text message. It's why we have emojis and they still suck, because I say like, see you later. And that could be 100 different ways.
Bruh. And depending on how I feel in the moment,
Yeah.
I will take that
Yep.
in 100 different ways. If
Yep.
I'm feeling good, oh, I'll get to see you later.
Ah.
Yeah. If I'm not feeling good, it's
wow.
What do you mean? What do you mean you'll see me later?
You actually don't want to. You just dismissed me or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like there are so many ways that can be interpreted. I forgot why we started talking about the Bible. It just popped up to me.
I feel like we were
with
just
our
talking about
parents
sparing the
talking about
rod, spoil the.
space.
Yeah, but so
Yeah.
everybody at their church was saying the same thing, right? Like, so
Mm-hmm.
the Bible saying it, everybody that they know saying it.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, I've learned to like say, all right, cool, that was just where they were, right? But we are walking a different path where it's
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like we didn't have anybody doing this for us. No one was modeling how to be
Really not.
a better
Yeah.
individual. You have your own soul. You have your own you're your own entity. And one day you're gonna walk out of this house. And what I really want is for you to be able to interact with your emotions as a human being, right? Like you said, we have ups, we have downs. I'm learning at 40 that my ups and downs, I'm still learning how to ride those waves, right?
Yeah.
So if I can give my kids anything, like I love that, man. If I can give y'all the ability at 16, 14, 15, 16 to go through whatever experience you're going through, the first breakup, the first whatever there's going to be, because there's going to be those things.
Friends saying mean things on social media.
Oh, it's going to happen.
The teacher that you love saying you an unkind word, like any of these things.
It's going to happen. And so, yeah, to get those emotional, thank you for saying that, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying that. Is there anything that you would like to leave us with before we hop off the podcast, man?
Good question. Well, I just want to, being the writer, I like that you talked about surfing those waves, and I want to like concretize this metaphor and say I'm trying to give them a surfboard.
Ooh. Oh.
Because they're going to get drowned in these waves unless they have a board and they know how to ride. I need to teach you, don't ignore the waves, they're there, but I want you to be able to stay on top of them and ride them. Ride the energy when you want to. Say, nope, that wave's too big. I'm going to duck under. I'm going to let it pass. And be able to get out beyond the breakers sometimes and look back and say, yeah, they're crashing on the shore, but deeper in, I am well and peaceful. And to inhabit that space when you just don't feel like surfing. I would love it if my kids had that ability.
Bro,
If I had that ability all the time.
hey, see, I think that's important, right? Is if they do come back to hear this, we as parents, you individual, we both of us, all of us, we are trying so. I wouldn't say hard, right? I'm not trying hard to be a better individual, but I am recognizing, and I think this is the beauty. This is what makes us superhumans, right? Is we see the mistake, we see whatever just happened, mistake, right, wrong, indifferent. We try to learn from that thing and we try to do better next time, right? If the goal is ultimately at the top of the mountain is, I want you to have emotional regulations. I want you to have that surfboard. Well, then everything that we do along the way, man, is just part of the journey,
Right.
right? And I love the fact that we can be witnesses to our journey and we can be impacted by it.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think that our parents necessarily were, right? It's like,
I think they just tried to bulldoze up the mountain, or they got to a place where they're a little bit out of the wind and like, this is good enough.
this is good enough. And as you know, I don't, do you hike?
Yeah.
After you get past the tree line, bro, it's a different experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much for
Oh my God.
coming on.
It was so fun. I just, this is the kind of conversation that I love to have because it just like makes me clear about what's going on, and you share wisdom, and we're more together when we talk about these things. So
That's so true.
Yeah.
I think especially for us dads, man.
Yeah.
I think like we were talking to mom before we get out of here. We were talking to mom this morning about how dads will take 2-3 months to say hello.
And longer than that to hug is what it brought up. It's like, when are we going to hug?
Yeah, she asked for that this morning. I was telling somebody, I was like, I've never actually, like, I will hug you, right? But I don't know if this is a male thing or versus a female thing. I don't know. But I need you to tell me that it's okay for me to hug you before I come and I start giving you a hug.
Right, because I jumped into my new dad friend with the hug just like without thinking about it, and he was taken aback. And I was like, "Oh, sorry, bro. Like I thought we were at hug stage. But I didn't say anything. It's so physical, It's just like a stiffness to the hug, and you kind of end a little quicker than you should. You
can feel.
You can feel.
Hey, whoa, wait, hey, brother, what you doing?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a hugger. That's fine. I'll remember that.
That's fine. Yeah.
Before we go, though, I want to thank you as just for all these people who are sitting at base camp. This podcast is awesome. And it's a real service that you're doing. Just these nuggets of wisdom that you're sharing. I know how much time and effort it takes and how easy it would be not to do it. So thank you for doing it.
I thank you for saying that. Thank you so much. Hey, I appreciate you being here. I will put your books in the show notes.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Right?
Check them out.
Yeah.
See if I did a good job feeling compassion for my characters. They're all there,
I love it. And the fact that you're able to do it in the first place.
Oh, man. I feel lucky.
Thank y'all for joining us. Take it easy.